Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Vintage at the request of Patreon subscriber Heinz, who has given me a series of Dealer's Choice events to prepare for Eternal Weekends, both Italy and Japan, and a deck that I have not played, that I should, in order of due diligence, is Max Dorshan's Bug Lurrus deck that he used to make top 4 of the US Eternal Weekend. I have long, in public and on this channel and in my private life, made fun of Fair Bug in Vintage. I think that the builds of this deck that people were playing for a number of years were really bad. They were basically all in on Collector Oof, both A, drawing it, B, sticking it, and C, it being relevant in a matchup, or else the deck just didn't do anything. And while that is still how I feel about Big Bug, the ones that try to play cards like Oko and Leovold in their deck, Lurrus Bug is a different story. Because we have the blueprint. Dimir Lurrus is just the default best deck in Vintage. We have Esper Lurrus, which adds another color to the deck to get different tools like Swords to Plowshares and Lavinia, and then Containment Priest out of the sideboard. Why not apply that in a different direction, and instead of splashing white, we splash green? And in green, instead of Lavinia and Swords to Plowshares, you get Deathrite Shaman and Collector Oof. And while Swords to Plowshares is a pretty clear upgrade across the entire board to Fatal Push, Abrupt Decay is an interesting item in that it is just a completely different card. Abrupt Decay can never kill a Seasoned Engineer or an Atraxa, but it can kill a Time Vault, which Swords to Plowshares can never do. It is uncounterable, which Swords to Plowshares does not. It costs 2 mana of 2 different colors, which Swords to Plowshares does not. This is a case of comparing apples and oranges and where you tune your deck. Like, I'm sure if the metagame was right, you could just main deck 4 pushes and have your decays in the sideboard instead of the other 2 pushes over here. But I'm going to trust what Max did for this event. And Collector Oof. One of the challenging matchups that's emerged for the Dimir and Esper Lurrus decks is the PO decks. The stock up, Flame of Anor, high land count, can beat a Null Rod kind of decks. It's at the point where many of the Dimir decks are main decking Null Rod. Having Collector Oof as part of your plan, being a 2/2 that can attack and block, plus you have Deathrite Shaman, which functions as a Mox that doesn't get turned off by your own Collector Oof. This is a coherent strategy, rather than just shoving a Null Rod or 2 into a deck that otherwise wouldn't want it. But outside of the splash lands and the green cards that we're splashing for, 7 Forces, we've seen that blueprint. Just the on-color Moxen and Black Lotus for artifact mana, we've seen that blueprint. 5 Wastelands, the 4 Wastelands in the Strip Mine, we've seen that. 1 Daze, Treasure Cruise, Dig Through Time, 4 Psychic Frog. This is all just the blueprint of Dimir Lurrus. And this Bug Lurrus deck seems to exist in a place where it is not the shitty, clunky bug mid-range deck of the last, I feel like people have been playing that deck for 7 years or more. It is not that deck. It is Dimir Lurrus choosing to splash green, which is an important distinction, and I do love myself a Deathrite Shaman. I'm excited to try this. Let's get into it. This is Bug Lurrus, played by Max Dorshan, submitted by Heinz. I'm on the play in round 1 in a Lurrus mirror. I almost have turn 1 Kishless Skimmer, but I have the wrong Mox. I do have a shitload of Wastelands. I am going to keep this. Wasteland can be really powerful in fair Lurrus mirrors, and I've got 2 of them. If it's an unfair Lurrus situation, okay. Abrupt Decay can blow up a Soul Ring or something that they try to get ahead with. I don't know, TBD. But I'm going to go Delta Jet and pass. This hand might be a mulligan, but if I was certain this was just Dimir Esper Lurrus on the other side, I like the hand. I don't like it if it's PO. Abrupt Decay can even kill Underworld Breach before it really gets off the ground. Oh no. Is it the full mirror? This looks like an Orcish Bowmaster being represented. And we begin the wasting. Okay, that just died. Didn't float mana, didn't do anything. I could decay this Jet, depending on if they develop another land or not. Is that crazy? They dumped Force of Will. Decay Jet, waste you. Alright, using this Abrupt Decay, I'm going to do this. It might be too aggro, but I've got something resembling a plan. Strip Mine. Really wish I could play this Kishla Skimmer, but we'll see if this gamble paid off right now. Didn't work. Uh-oh. Am I dead? Spell Pierce. I like that card. I'm going to play Delta. This lets me fetch Undercity Sewer while holding up Spell Pierce and Force of Will. I would have pierced this Lotus if I had it last turn. Okay, they are out of mana. That means their hand is 6 spells. Sewer, Psychic Frog, hell yeah. Put that on top. I'm going to develop Psychic Frog with Pierce and Force backup. Okay, if they just want to force that, that's fine. I can buy Lurrus over multiple turns and get that frog back eventually. I'm not going to tap out for Skimmer and give up double counter. Their Force pitched Misstep. This does appear to be just the full-ass mirror. Kishla Skimmer is on the stack. So they'll probably dig through time or Treasure Cruise here, which will trigger Skimmer. Treasure Cruise confirmed. I'm going to Spell Pierce before they draw. A Force of Will is the follow-up. I'm going to force their Cruise. I go Hellbent. All right, they've got 2 cards in hand to my none and a creature on board. I have significantly more mana than them. And working my way towards Lurrus. Oh, or I'll just jam this Psychic Frog. Yep, Frog. A little awkward with 0 cards in hand, but hopefully that'll change quickly. And if this is the mirror, all they can do is decay or push it. Deathrite. I can fizzle Deathrite with Frog. They get 1 good attack here. And can we get free? Oh my god. Well, I know that their Mental Misstep's already used. They'd have to force to get this Ancestral away from me. And now we're cooking. Green, blue, Kishla Skimmer. Now when I jump Frog, I draw a card. My own Deathrite. And I don't care about Oof. So I'm going to attack with Frog without jumping it. If they want to trade my Collector Oof for Deathrite Shaman, I'll take it. And hit a land drop. Well, that escalated quickly. Okay, passing the turn. If they tap their Deathrite Shaman, this does target all of the mode's target, which means I can jump Frog in response, draw a card, fizzle their action. Wasteland, way too late for that to matter. You've got my trop. They can target their own Wasteland. I can't jump Frog and deal with that. They get a card off of that with Skimmer. Second Skimmer. That's pretty strong. And does my deck have Brainstorm in it? There is a Brainstorm. I think I would still rather just fetch here. I'll get another trop and go to my turn. Another Psychic Frog. Okay, how do I maximize this? This is a blast. Okay, I can tap Deathrite to draw a card. I don't need to jump Frog because all their squad all flies anyway. I can also just attack with Frog, and I can draw a bunch of cards in response if they double block. Or I could draw 1 card in response if they double block, and then still win the combat. Ooh, the double block. We got him. Nope. Changed their mind. Realize that's not going to work. Yeah, trying to engage a Psychic Frog in combat is just always a losing bet. Force of Negation in my hand. I guess I should jump the Frog just to lock in Skimmer action. Yeah, just draw an extra card now, and then I've got another Frog. I'm actually going to leave Deathrite back to hardcast Force of Negation with, if I need to do that. And now if I have a Deathrite up and a Frog available, it would be very hard for them to actually exile anything from any graveyard. And with double Skimmer, that is, I think, the thing I need to keep offline. Another Deathrite, okay. And they realize I have them locked. Cool. All right, the Bug Mirror, it's on. Yeah, I think here we just cut all this stuff that's for combo, the Force of Negations, the Collector Oofs, and then bring in a bunch of removal. Pushes, Dismembers, Mystical Dispute, and a Soul Guide Lantern. We both care about graveyards, and it's something I can loop with Lurrus. Looks good to me. Okay, lands, cheap interaction, and Psychic Frog. I like all of these things in this matchup. And they mold to 6. They mold to 6 and I'm on the draw. That's a lot of cards worth of value in my direction. No turn 1 play is great for me. And they're showing Mox Bayou. All right, yeah, I don't care about that. That can be a little bit of damage for a little while. I can push it if it becomes an issue. I'm going to try to respect Wasteland a little bit here by not fetching. Yeah, there it is. Okay. It's turbo buying Lurrus. Okay. How do I want to sequence this? I can go end step push Bowmaster, go to my turn, stick Frog with force backup. Yeah, I'll do that. This means I have to just... Oh, there's a Bayou in the deck. All right, yeah, I'll get Bayou. Sure. Push the Bowmaster. Ooh, a Mox. Now I am backed up by Spell Pierce in all of my other adventures. I'm going to play around getting Wastelanded off of Spell Pierce by playing Psychic Frog, or leaving the Mox Sapphire back. Okay, Abrupt Decay gets me here. Basically nothing else does. Fatal Push. It would cost me Time Walk to fight over this, because I have to keep the Pierce back. Though Time Walking with Psychic Frog in play is so insanely busted. If Force is their counterplay, I can't beat it anyway. Alright, I'm going to roll the dice on keeping Time Walk in my hand. If they have specifically a second Fatal Push without... Okay, they force pitching their own Time Walk. We'll see who this favors ultimately. Okay. Yeah, if they had Fatal Push without another land drop, that would have punished me. So they have Lurrus 1 unknown in hand, wasting me off green, deploying the Doctor. Alright. Big rips. Hell yeah. Okay. This just got a lot easier. Wasteland you plus Fatal Push. I was about to start talking about how should I fight this Deathrite Shaman and hope they don't draw a land for Lurrus, or hold the Fatal Push until Lurrus is relevant. But then I'm under Deathrite Shaman for a while. And Wasteland just gives me all of it. Now I have to hope they don't draw Black Lotus. Exactly. Orc Army coming in. Pass the turn. They cannot have Force of Will. I am going to buy Lurrus here. This means their next land is also in trouble, which means they have to draw runner fetch lands to get their Lurrus out, or rip exactly Black Lotus, like I said. Underground Sea. They're making progress. Do they have a card to play here? 1 unknown in the hand. Obviously, a Psychic Frog and Ancestral Recall, anything like that is devastating. Most things aren't that good, though. Ugh, alright, yep. That's an Ancestral Recall, where I come from. We count those. Mox Sapphire. They did exile all of the juice that Lurrus had. Interesting, okay. I would rather Time Walk with Lurrus in play, but I would also rather Lurrus with mana to immediately get a Psychic Frog going. I think I'm going to Time Walk here and try to hit a mana source, or at least something else to do. Daze, that's interesting. Alright, I guess I'm going to cast Lurrus and then Strip Mine them. Alright, Strip Mine. Hopefully Daze keeps this Lurrus alive. Or they go land Lurrus, get blown out by Daze. Deathrite is none of the above. Alright, we're in. Psychic Frog means Deathrite Shaman cannot reach into my graveyard. And I am not going to offer to trade Lurrus for Deathrite Shaman and Orc Army. Lurrus is so much better than that. Deathrite targeting my Bayou. I will jump Psychic Frog in response, exiling Bayou, Wasteland, and Strip Mine. Just deny all the future food for that thing. Yeah, that fizzles. That means Lurrus can attack this turn. I drew this card. Mental Misstep. Nice. Okay. Big turn. Do I want to draw a card with Psychic Frog or clear the Orc Army? I'll clear the Orc Army. Though, every card matters. I am going to jump the Frog. It's starting to grind it back. Ooh, Black Lotus. I do like that card. Okay, if I discard Psychic Frog to Psychic Frog, I still have my Lurrus cast available. This is worse against a counterspell, because I can't cast it twice in a turn, but I don't think I have to. I'll take the extra, and I'll pass. Alright, now Frog beats Orc Army plus Deathrite. Their own Frog. Powerful stuff. And because the only land in graveyards is in their graveyard, they can pay for Daze. If I had the only land in graveyards, I could have beaten Daze there. But I do have the same number of cards in my hand as my opponent and the bigger starting Frog. What does casting this Dig look like? I can play Black Lotus twice. That's 6. 7, 8. All right, yeah. I'm going to cast Black Lotus twice and dig through time. Blue, blue, blue. Play Lotus. Blue, blue, blue. Exile everything that's not Lotus. 1 floating dig. Skimmer, Cruise, Soul Guide Lantern. Well, Soul Guide Lantern's fucked up. I can't play Skimmer. I don't have green mana. I think Soul Guide Lantern plus Force of Will are my Huckleberries here. And I have a mana floating, so I'll play the Soul Guide. I'm going to hit their Underground Sea, which they can tap Deathrite to fizzle, but then it's not available as a blocker. Okay. If I attack with the large frog, I can also draw a card with Soul Guide Lantern. So these 2 frogs, we both discard 3, they wash out. This frog beats anything in combat. I think I'm going to attack with my larger frog and see if they want to play chicken. Okay, just a chump block, that makes sense. I am ahead here, but it's close. Do I want to Soul Guide them now before they can play this other Deathrite? I think so. Alright. Wipe out their graveyard. I guess Lurrus is in play. What am I even talking about? That was more aggressive. I looked at this Lurrus that's in their hand and was like, I gotta stop that from getting value. But in fact, I did not. But if their Psychic Frog gets involved in combat, I obliterate them coming back the other way. Even if they get to draw a card. That wasn't great, though. Their frog can definitely attack. I have no real blocks here. Fetch land means that Deathrite can beat Daze on Lurrus. Not anymore. Yeah, if they just tap out to cast Lurrus here, that's great. I am going to cast Daze. Though picking up a land makes my frog bigger. No, I'll cast the Daze. Brutal. Alright, yeah, they're just conceding to that. The old turn 9 Daze on the most important card in the matchup. Sweet. Alright, well, Lurrus mirrors are always pretty nice, and they're always about Psychic Frog, and this one was no different. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the plate for round 2. Opponent has revealed a Lurrus. This Undercity Sewer is killing me. If this was Underground Sea to get Deathrite online, I would be in all day. If I was confident they were combo Lurrus and not fair Lurrus, I would be in for this hand, but those are 2 big ifs. Here we go. I like this one. I'm going to keep. And between Daze, Spell Pierce, and Underground Sea, these are the cards I'm considering putting on the bottom. I have 3 mana between Mox, Delta, Deathrite to get Demonic and cast Ancestral next turn, and if I Daze, I'll have a land drop anyway. I'm going to bottom Underground Sea. I'm going to go Delta, Emerald, Deathrite, off of Emerald. This holds up Daze, it plays around Wasteland, it lets me get my... Interesting, alright. Opponent seems to be worried about that. I'm going to get an Underground Sea and cast Spell Pierce. It would be insane if they force back and I get to Daze. Okay. Hasn't happened yet. They're still thinking about it. It's still on the stack. Okay, no, it's in. It's in. Alright, now I don't love Wasteland, but Deathrite on the play against Wasteland does tear that apart. Cataxian Probe sees the Daze. So whatever they were hesitating about last turn, they were right. Volcanic Island. Okay, so are we Breach or PO? Mox Opal. Okay, we're definitely in the territory of this is not fair, Lurrus. Ooh, big skimmy. Huh. That doesn't do what I want. I'm going to Demonic Tutor and see what they say about that. They said Force of Will about that. Okay. There's no Daze to be had here. Well, if I Daze, I could play Kishla. What did they pitch? They pitched Time Walk. Yeah, Daze is not going to beat them, but it does let me build my board. Alright, yeah, I guess I'll save Daze for Stock Up or Flame of Anor in the future. I will Daze the Thundertrap Trainer here. Manifold Key. Alright. They're Frisky Lurrus. Underground Sea. I'll summon Kishla Skimmer. Oh, this only triggers on my turn. I'm glad I didn't actually try to trigger this on my opponent's turn last game. Everyone who yelled at me in the comments, you're right. That's a paper-only play. Leaves the graveyard during your turn, triggers only once each turn. Man, Wizards of the Coast was in full wuss baby mode on that one. And it's now worth more mana to tap Deathrite than it is to attack with it. Archive. Kept the card on top. Mox Jet turns on Mox Opal. I am now dead to a Time Vault. Alright, Thundertrap Trainer. Can't interact with that one at this point. They got one card in hand plus whatever Thundertrap delivers. This would be a great board to find a Collect Roof on. Alright, end of turn, exile Gitaxian Probe from their graveyard. We're down to 11. Trainer found Merchant Scroll, which can find Ancestral and get over top of Daze with it next turn. Deathrite. Exile my Delta. I would like to draw a card here. At worst, I can play Lurrus. Or put Lurrus in my hand. Can't play Lurrus. I'll make a blue. Hey, there's that boy! Slam Collector Roof. Hopefully, they just die here. If they have to pitch their Merchant Scroll to a force, then they're hellbent. But this card is very good in exactly this situation. Alright, force pitching Scroll. They did have to do that. And you got me. Attack with Skimmer. They're already at 8 life. The Manifold Key is terrifying because that means there's draws in their deck that end the game on the spot. They can't Paradoxical Outcome into this Daze. Alright, buying Lurrus. Slowing it down. Attacking with Thundertrap. I'm at 18. You got me. Abrupt Decay. Alright, now what am I worried about? The answer is not very much. I think I want to exile Spell Pierce from my graveyard. That makes them lose 2 life, and I draw a card. Now that I understand it has to be done on my turn. That's kind of important. And now my opponent is dead to the board through Lurrus's lifelink, because I have a flyer and a 2 damage burn spell. And with Abrupt Decay in hand, I could kill Lurrus, or I could kill Time Vault if they find it. If they go land Paradoxical Outcome, that becomes challenging. I could have also Abrupt Decayed the Manifold Key before their turn that turns off Mox Opal and proactively turns off Time Vault as a draw. Okay, didn't need it. No, Seal of Primordium and Mystical Dispute are definitely for this deck. The Manifold Key is really interesting because Lurrus PO doesn't usually play Time Vault, and Time Vault decks don't normally play Lurrus, which puts me in a weird spot around Consigned to Memory because I know they won't have Tezzeret's. Okay, I'm just going to make this small change. This deck is mostly pre-built for matchups like this. That's why you have all these Collector Roofs in the main. And hope this works. Okay, a Frog, a Force, a couple of Wastelands. Wasteland's not as good in this matchup as it is versus Fair Lurrus, but I do like having Force of Will and Frog. Soul Ring. Mox Opal. And I am still going to Wasteland, though. Anything that could make their life a little harder here is worth doing to me. Okay, I am going to engage in this fight. I'm going to force pitching Time Walk and then Wasteland them again. Ooh, force me back. Okay. Force pitching Stock Up to let Stock Up resolve. Sure. Like, I spent 2 cards to stop Stock Up. They spent 2 cards, including a Stock Up, to Stock Up now. That's valuing velocity over a long-term grind. But if they hit some big payoffs, they might be right. Doesn't take much to turn on Mox Opal when you're looking at 5 cards in this deck. Like, if this Stock Up has any Mox plus PO in it, they're off. Any Mox confirmed. Okay, I do not think Wastelanding them is a good idea anymore. Underground Sea, Dr. S. Basically tapped out for whatever they want to do here. 1 mana source gets them Lurrus. If Lurrus is even good. I don't actually think Lurrus is that good on this board, but okay, tap land means not Lurrus. Not yet. Kept the card on top, bad for me. And they did buy their Lurrus. Cool. I'll take it. How about Collector Roof? Seal of Primordium. That's kind of like Collector Roof. Okay, I'm going to exile their Volcanic Island for green, and I'll cast Seal of Primordium. Now I have to decide if I want to blow up Soul Ring because it's raw mana, or take out the 2 white sources in Meticulous Archive Mox Pearl. I think I want the white sources. I'm going to hit Mox Pearl, which turns off Mox Opal, at least for now. They're floating blue-white. All right, I will change phases. Swords to Plowshares, okay, right on time. Strip mine, you're white, and hope that this has done enough. I hate leaving them with Soul Ring, but knowing the Lurrus is in hand, oh, fuck off. All right, we got vintaged. Otherwise, pretty cool type plays, and now Lurrus is immediately back. The black turns on the white of Mox Opal, and then they're cooking. The only Lurrusable card in their graveyard is Mox Pearl, though. Oh, this isn't the worst Lurrus I've ever seen, or the scariest Lurrus. My deck can certainly beat a 3-2. It's the other things their deck does I'm worried about. All right, Pearl's back. That completely hard countered the entire turn I just played. But can my Psychic Frog carry me against this goofball Lurrus forever? Tropical Island, black-blue, and pass. All right, Swords to Plowshares is bad. Anything that draws a card is bad. Thundertrap Trainer, Soul Guide Lantern, any of the above. Portable Hull, pretty bad. All right, and we're on a 6-turn clock, plus the terror that comes off the top of the deck. Black Lotus, all right. I mean, game on, I guess. Lurrus, Lotus. I'm just in full high roll, make it work capacity here. I would love to sculpt a situation where this Lurrus is higher impact, but all I can do is cast my cards right now. If this Lurrus is still around next turn, it gets Seal of Primordium, which unlocks Psychic Frog, but it doesn't take much to break this up. Flame of Venor dealing damage. They don't have a wizard, at least. I don't love that Lurrus is dead, but that was not card draw. And we're in a spot where just drawing Collector Roof is busted. Collector Roof might actually solo this game from this position we're in. Demonic Tutor. Alright, well, I'll cast that card. Okay, there is Abrupt Decay, Collector Oof. Abrupt Decay gets me my frog. I could also just get a Dig Through Time or an Ancestral Recall. I'm going to Ancestral. Alright, here we go. If they have a counterspell, no matter what I get gets countered here, so I'm going to try to just overwhelm the second counterspell. Flusterstorm. Well, I'm paying. Pay. I guess they couldn't have flustered Collector Roof there. Oh, double fluster. So Collector Roof might have actually soloed this game if I had gotten it. I did not play around double soft counter. Okay, fair enough. Pass the turn. They are hellbent, but they have many broken draws. They also have many draws that are just mana. Lurrus is in. End step, get my Surveil land. Looking for action here. Big Skimmers. I don't think that's good enough. I mean, it trades with Lurrus, I guess. No, I want to do better. Dumping that. 2 Wastelands, huh? Alright, I'll waste your Tundra. I'll waste your Volk. And F6. Collector Oof for the miracle. Just another Tundra. Got my ass. Psychic Frog. This does not beat Lurrus this turn. Put me to 2. I guess if I had identified that Wasteland is not going to matter unless Collector Roof is part of the game, I could have held one of them back to make Psychic Frog bigger and not give them this free turn to bash me with Lurrus. Oh, they're doing something big anyway. Yeah, it turns out Demonic Tutor for Collector Roof probably would have won this game, but instead, nothing. They're kicking a Thundertrap Trainer with 1 mana left. PO, that's a next turn problem. And Swords of Plowshares, that's a right now problem. Okay, that does put me to 6, which is still dead to Lurrus, even if I draw... Alright. So I could have won this game if I had predicted that they had 2 soft counters in hand instead of 1 hard counter. I'm not changing anything. This is still my deck. Let's get it. We did see why these PO decks are so tough on the Lurrus control decks, though. Just the stock-ups, get the Thunder Traps. They have so many 2-for-1s. They play such a high land count. I wasted my opponent at least 4 times that game, and they still had 2 lands in play at the end of the game. I got a mulligan here. Come on, deck. You're killing me. So this one does start with a Deathrite. I'm actually going to keep this. And Bowmaster versus Frog. Frog's blue. All right, I'll put Bowmaster on the bottom. I'm going to go Mox Deathrite and just hope that a fetch land is involved in the game at some point. Okay, that's in there. They're going to have a ton of removal, though, between Plows and Portable Holes. Island. Mox Pearl. Portable Hole. I'm not going to fight over this. If they had fetched, it would be higher priority. Okay, taking my Jet instead of my Deathrite's a choice. Emerald. Now if I draw a fetch land, I can oof their whole board and not even lose anything because of my own Mox. Fetch land, please stack one time. All right, no times. I'm going to pass. I'm not going to attack because if they fetch, having mana up matters. Now I absolutely have to force a Swords to Plowshares. That might happen. Okay, they're just passing with more Mox in. Fetch land, fetch land, fetch land. All right, well, I'm going to force pitching Spell Pierce on that. I think Spell Pierce is the worst blue card in my hand. Big draws, big draws. Oh my god. Maybe my opponent will crack a fetch land. I'm so ready. Or maybe it'll just PO for 4. Okay, they left the Portable Hole in play. I think that is cowardice. What am I going to do with a black mana on your turn? Jet, Pearl, Emerald, put Lurrus in hand. Alright, I mean, pretty moderate, all things considered. Oy, caramba. Alright, passing the turn. Still passing, still chilling. I think this one has passed me by, but there were a couple turns there where anything's good. I also could have just mulliganed this. This was 6 already. Mana Crypt, I have a win condition. Lurrus, Mana Crypt's not a win condition anymore. Manifold Key. Key untaps Crypt. They could stock up with this mana. Thunder Trap. A variety of things are live here. Thunder Trap. Sink into Stupor. That's another land that is not a fetch. I hope their hand is just 5 fetch lands and they're afraid to crack them. Zap that in. They must have Flusterstorm, which does not counter Collector Roof. If I draw a fetch land, shit, it's all crumbling down. I'm going to play this out because the Collector Roof is the type of card that could still randomly steal this game if it resolves somehow. I'll scoop if they kill my Deathrite. I don't want to play that game anymore. Though drawing Black Lotus would let me unload my hand. Okay, they're using Key with Crypt as a ramp spell, floating ass loads of mana. Thunder Trap with Kicker. PO, can't cast it this turn. Not with what they're showing. Black Lotus, now they can cast it this turn. Okay, Lurrus is attacking. No blocks. Black Lotus. They're going to Lotus twice with Lurrus. And they should full send here. Bounce everything, including Portable Hole. That's a draw 10. It's still afraid to bounce the hole. Alright, I'm good. I don't have to keep doing this. And the hand I kept was sketchy, but it was already on 6, and so many things would have paid it out. Just a land. Any land from me, and if any of my opponent's lands were fetch lands. And it's possible my opponent had a fetch land and has specifically played non-fetch lands on purpose, which is a heads-up play. Good job if that did happen. But definitely the full whiff on both enabling them and hitting on my own makes it feel like you're just supposed to mull to 5, but turn 2 Collector Oof with Force backup is hard to argue with on a mull to 6. Next round.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks, and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the play in round 3 against non-Lurrus. I'm going to keep. I don't like having no force versus non-Lurrus, but if they're Dredge, I have Wasteland and Deathrite. If they are any sort of Shops, Jewel, Oof, whatever, like I have Oof. All of that requires me to get a second turn. I kind of just hope they're Bazaar and we can Wasteland Deathrite my way to clean victory here. Though the things you need to exile from Dredge are creatures. and I don't have green mana. Opponent has mauled to 6, and here is the Doctor. That resolved immediately. Tolarian Academy. That's a weird first land to play. Okay, this looks like it's Jewel. Vexing Bauble. Okay, well, they know whatever they want to do is going to work now. Trinisphere. And they did that without putting a land in the graveyard, which means I cannot oof this turn. I can wasteland them, though. I will. I'm going to wasteland, and then I can oof next turn. Do I want to exile a spell or attack for 1? I think it's more likely to be successful for me to attack for 1. Wasting me back. All right. Oh, is this just shops? Just regular-ass shops? Sure. Okay. I suppose it is. All right, so I need another mana, and then we're so Gucci. But it might not be easy to come up with that. Hold on. Regular shops doesn't play Volcanic Island. Black Vice, okay. I take damage equal to the number of cards in my hand minus 4. So I'll take 1 this turn. And if I draw a land, I win the game on the spot. And if I don't, the mission is clear for my opponent. Yo, ding, 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 ding. Exile your Tolarian Academy. Make a green. Shove this Collector Oof into play and wasteland you next turn. Now we're miles ahead. It flips just that fast. Yeah, literally conceded. Cool. All right, well, Collector Oof is certainly good in the matchups where it's good. I don't know what I'm playing against. It's got to be some kind of shops deck, but Black Vice is weird. Volcanic Island in a Trinisphere deck is weird. I'm going to bring in Consign and Seal for sure. Do I want Mystical Dispute? Do I think they have like PO kind of stuff? Phyrexian Metamorph kind of stuff? I don't know enough to dispute it. LMAO. Mental Misstep. I've seen Black Vice in their deck. They're an unconventional deck, whatever they are. I'm going to cut these Fatal Pushes and probably Daze. I'm going to keep it light until I know more about what's going on. Well, I can't keep this. Mulligan. Opponent has also mulliganed. This hand is kind of weak, but I don't know if I ship it. I just don't know what my opponent's doing. We'll bottom this Bayou. Keep the fetch lands around. Leyline of the Void. Okay. Are they like 2-card Monty with Helm? Like, what's going on over there? All right, well, that's a fast start. Okay, I don't think Deathrite Shaman's actually going to be good. I'm going to cast Cataxian Probe for mana and hope to not see a key in their hand. All right, an Ancient Tomb is in their hand. My plan here is to just ram Psychic Frog and attack with it until they're dead. Ancient Tomb. All right, please don't have any good cards ever. All right. Psychic Frog is on the stack. It would not surprise me if they draw a card with Vexing Bauble this turn. Though, I guess if you're all in on ripping a key or a Tez or whatever, having Vexing Bauble around is pretty good. No, they're probably not going to pop it. But they probably do have a high number of keys and Tezzerets and all these things. They have the restricted card. They don't have the half dozen non-restricted ones. Okay, it's time to pop the Bauble. They are in emergency mode. Mox Sapphire. Don't tinker me, bro. Time Twister. Well, all right. I'm going to make Frog huge in response. I don't need to redraw any of these. They can go in the void. Okay, Time Twister resolves. I have a 6/7 Frog. I drew a Force. Mox Pearl. Mox Jet. Lotus Petal. Mishra's Workshop. 3 cards left in the hand. I redrew the Vexing Bauble. I hate them so much. All right, that resolves. Grafdigger's Cage. Okay. Between Leyline of the Void and Grafdigger's Cage, I'm not convinced they actually know what deck I'm playing or how it works. But we did it. Okay. Wow. All right. Yeah, Frog is just lethal here. Exactly lethal attack for 14. Weird match, weird deck. On to the next one. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables. In this YouTube series, hosts Patrick Sullivan and Patrick Chapin go set by set through Magic's past, leveraging their decades of experience as Pro Tour players and game designers to analyze the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a deep dive into the facts, mechanics, cycles, trivia, decks of the time, and historical context of the set. The hosts dig into notable cards of the era and their lasting impact today. Each set gets an award show where the hosts pick their favorite cards for categories such as Best, Worst, and Weirdest. And finally, give a letter grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Receivables has it at youtube.com/thereceivables. I am on the play in round 4 against non-Lurrus with almost all of the fast mana that I play available to me. I can have turn 1 Psychic Frog, or I could turn 1 Lurrus, or I could turn 1 Psychic Frog plus hold up Bowmaster. And I'm keeping. If I was sure I was against White Initiative, what would have to happen there? Like they reveal a Chancellor before the game? That would tell me for sure. If I was against White Initiative, I mean, even then sending the Lurrus doesn't let me cast Psychic Frog, which is the card I actually want in play versus White Initiative and the card I want in play versus Dredge. Okay, well, opponent has obliged. That means, what do I do here? What is the sequence? So it's fetch a mana, pay 1 for Mox Emerald, and then go Jet Lotus. I'll pay the 1. Jet Lotus. Fuck. What have I done? Was I just supposed to burn off the Emerald and not have it in play, and then I have blue? Yeah, I can't actually get double black and a blue out of this. Damn it, Brian. Why would you do this to me? Okay, I have messed up. I want Psychic Frog in play, and I'm probably not gonna have it. It would cost me my Lotus to do that. All right, I fucked up. Yeah, I should have just put Mox Emerald in my graveyard and then developed this. Whoops. I will have to settle with 6 mana in play on turn 1. Chrome Mox. Yeah, that was bad, though. Sapphire. Cavern. Creature is Dragon, so I'm completely fucked. Yeah, this means that they get to turn off all of this fast mana. Psychic Frog can't be activated anymore. I think Psychic Frog is still the correct card to put into play. The Kishless Skimmer flies. I'm actually going to get Bayou here because I think that black is more important than blue. All right, yeah, I'm going to play Psychic Frog. That's the one that they can't really afford to let me in on. Like, they could decide to engage in a damage race versus the flying Kishless Skimmer. But yeah, if I just burned off Mox Emerald, played Psychic Frog plus Bowmaster, I could have discarded 2 cards to Frog in response to Conqueror, then had a big enough Frog to challenge for the rest of the game. And now I'm in the spot where I need to draw. Abrupt Decay would obviously be insane. Fatal Push, I could figure out how to get delay or Revolt. Just make some chump attacks and unlock it. What else do I have? That's really about it, honestly. They played a tapped Witchbless Meadow. No attacks. Another Mox, you love to see it. Kishless Skimmer. I've got a flyer now. Naturally, the game where I draw all 4 pieces of my artifact acceleration is the game where I play against Clarion Conqueror on turn 1. All right, passing the turn. No play on turn 2. Oh, they turned off their own Mox in. Right. They only have 2 mana. Right. I forgot about that fold. That is useful. Now they're back up to 3 mana and they can do stuff. Archon of Emeria with that Wasteland is pretty messed up. They could start actually pushing here. I need to draw Abrupt Decay this turn. Or I guess Fatal Push plays as well. Because when they Wasteland me, that'll get me Revolt. I have 1 window right now to draw Ancestral Recall and maybe move the game forward a little bit before they waste me off blue. They can attack pretty safely here. I just have to hope that they play it safe and don't start reducing my life total. The longer this game goes, the more likely I am to rip a banger. Banger achieved. All right, I'm just going to pass. And if I can unlock this Psychic Frog, the game becomes much more interesting. Yeah, just passing. I think attacking with the army token telegraphs my line too, obviously. Strip Mine Wasteland. Void Mirror. Okay. I wasn't going to cast spells. I promise. Okay, so they can completely rip me off next turn. Now this with Bowmaster actually kills something, so this is a real attack. This isn't even a chump attack. All right, yep, too smart to block there. Seasoned Dungeoneer. We hate that guy. All my homies hate Seasoned Dungeoneer. But now they're incentivized to block. Because of the Archon, I can't even set up something like Bowmaster ping itself to get Revolt. I need them to actually put one of my permanents in my graveyard for me. Dragon and Archon are not things that get gassed up by Seasoned Dungeoneer. Yeah, if they attack here, I'm going to have to chump with Kishless Skimmer to get Revolt. But I think attacking on the turn where they just introduce the initiative. I don't play a basic either. Room 1 of the initiative dungeon is useless to me. End step, Bowmaster. Let's get it in there. That's another attacker that can challenge the initiative. Wasteland's interesting. If I attack with 4 creatures, I will get the initiative and have Revolt because they're going to block some of them. I need Psychic Frog back. I can't waste them to get Revolt because Archon makes Wasteland come in tapped. I could also just attack with Orc Army and see what they want to do about that. That gives me the initiative, but they're not incentivized to really block. Yeah, I think I believe too much in Kishless Skimmer. Right, I'm going to attack with 2 of these, leave 1 back. I want the damage to be threatening enough that they will block, but not to lose my whole board if they just block with everything. Okay, they are just taking the obvious blocks. I'm a fan. Okay. They move Clarion Conqueror in front instead. I mean, the obvious blocks are just block them all. There's no first strike or anything on here that can mess up combat. Okay. So these are the blocks. And then Fatal Push can take out Clarion Conqueror, which lets me do other stuff. This is the only spell I can play this turn, but I can activate Frog. Okay, that's big. And then I can jump Frog to draw a card right now. Okay, draw a card with Kishla, hit Abrupt Decay. That plays on their turn extremely well. I will put this Wasteland into play tapped. It'll be good someday. And do I want to put Lurrus in my hand now using the Black Lotus? I can't play any more spells. The question is, do I leave this mana up for next turn? I can't cast Abrupt Decay with Black Lotus, so I can't put Lurrus in my hand with the other mana. And I can't replay Lotus. All right, yeah, I will buy Lurrus right now. That is good enough. They have Forge. I hope they Forge onto Archon, but I don't know if that even makes sense to do. Oh my god. All right, resolves. I don't have to respond to that. They can just think it's big for a while and make decisions based on that. Can we get it back? Wasteland. I'll float a black. I don't think there's anything that can happen that would make this Abrupt Decay not work, so I'm not going to use the black. Seasoned Dungeoneer, attack. Reveals Chancellor the Annex. I don't think they're going to keep that. Well, they're not that far away from casting it. I mean, if their hand is a Plains, they might just keep it, actually. But I have a Wasteland in play, so they can't believe in that. Okay, dump the Chancellor. Seasoned Dungeoneer gets through because it cannot be blocked. Stripping my other land. And what is the final follow-up here? Witch Enchanter. Okay, that resolves. And this is where I Abrupt Decay the Archon. Held that long. And can we turn it around? Is this a winnable race? That card certainly helps, though I can't cast it. The Void Mirror is still turning off Mox Sapphire. That's the problem there. All right, Psychic Frog, Exile, Jet, Lotus, Decay. Draws a card. Force of Will, can't play that. I'm going to attack with my 2 flying creatures, which also gets me the initiative, which doesn't help me. Okay, search for a basic I don't have, and then draw a card, hope it's a blue source. It is. I should have discarded Mox Sapphire. That was messy. That's just a damage I missed. I'll get Underground Sea and cast Ancestral Recall targeting myself. Is there anything clever to do by targeting them? I don't think I'm fucking with that. I do have a Bowmaster in play, and combat matters a lot in this matchup. I can't force anyway because of Void Mirror. Do I want to use this Wasteland? 1, 2, 3, 4 mana. And it's Cavern on Dragon. No, alright. I don't think there's anything to do there. I did miss a damage by not discarding Mox to Frog, which I hope doesn't end up killing me. They're pushing the max here. Correctly identified that we're in a damage race. Archon of Emiria on top of the deck. That card has been put in the graveyard. Or no, that's the one I killed last turn. That card was left on top. 5 plus 6 is not quite dead. Oh, they're about to go in the trap. Alright, so this is actually 12 damage right now. So I should... Can I win on the backswing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And I won't be in the forge yet. Oh, it's actually 12 because of Skimmer. Alright, I'm going to 1. Yeah, that... Not discarding last turn is the difference between them being at 2 or at 1, which I'm not sure if that's the difference maker, but obviously I wish they were at less life. Cavern from hand on Archon, and it is now my turn. A second Skimmer. Does that... It gets itself back. Like, if I play Skimmer and then jump Frog, I draw a card to replace the Skimmer. Blue-green Skimmer. Jump Psychic Frog. Draw 2. Yeah, I can put them to 1 here, but not 0. Or I put them to 2. If I had played correctly, they'd be at 1. Or did I have this Force in my hand? No, I was trying to draw... I wonder if I could have discarded 2 cards last turn to Frog to get there faster. Is there any draw I can draw? Seasoned Engineer being unblockable. It's too good. I guess I'll at least attack and take the draw. Alright. How much do I want to show them? I guess it doesn't matter. Just discard everything. There's a lot of stuff here that doesn't work. Alright, hit you to 2. I get the initiative. I'll forge onto, I guess, this Kishless Skimmer. And then I draw a card and die. Alright, that was really close, and I made at least 2 mistakes. Yeah, if I had just played the Psychic Frog on turn 1 by sequencing my cards correctly, I win that game. Alright, yeah, that one was totally on me. This is a matchup where sideboarding on the play and draw are pretty different. This mana, or these counter spells only hit mana in their deck, and when you're on the play, you can be ahead of that. On the draw, Force of Negation can help collapse their mana a little bit. Alright, here we go. One thing that I actually really like about the Lurrus decks in Vintage, the Fair Lurrus decks, is you have to play well. And as we saw in that game, I simply did not. This is interesting. Gitaxian Probe's a look. Snuff Out needs a swamp to function. A Mental Misstep can hit Soul Ring for the most part. Wasteland's not bad against them. How far am I from this Dig Through Time? How far am I from this Lurrus? Black Lotus can cast Fatal Push. I'm gonna keep this. Black Lotus is just such a good card. I'm gonna try it. Though this is clearly on the borderline. I actually just realized I messed up the last turn of last game as well, because I had already counted that Psychic Frog won't be lethal, which means that I shouldn't have played that second Kishless Skimmer. I should have left my mana up for Psychic Frog to have a chance of hitting Time Walk. They have a Chancellor again. Lotus, Pearl, Wasteland, Void Mirror, Chancellor. What? Alright, this hand is a mess. And I just drew Collector Oof, which is a fascinating item here because it puts them to only Ancient Tomb to play the whole game on, but it is a measly 2/2 versus everything they're doing. And you know what, team? I'm doing it. Alright, this is going to be a very strange game that I hope Collector Oof attacks for 20 in. It might be able to attack for less because of Ancient Tomb, but if they Ancient Tomb out this Void Mirror, which may or may not actually matter, then they're taking a bunch of... if I can Wasteland this Ancient Tomb, like I think they're going to dump out their mana and then Wasteland my Wasteland and pass. But if they Ancient Tomb out this Void Mirror and I get to Wasteland effectively, I'm going to feel really far ahead. Hey, there's the Ancient Tomb. And there's the Void Mirror. Okay. I am pretty happy with that exchange. Wasteland you. And now it only takes 9 attacks to win. A land would be a big deal. I mean, for a variety of very obvious reasons, because I don't have any, for one. But if I can hardcast Mental Misstep on Swords to Plowshares if they draw it, that's something. Oh god. Zapped in Witchblast Meadow. They just have... Were there 2 draws? Oh my god! Alright, their 2 draws since I looked at their hand were White Source Swords to Plowshares. We are fucked, team. Yeah, I even had the Mental Misstep, but they had the Void Mirror. So good. Okay, I know they have Wasteland. Do I want to save this Bayou to a spot where it might actually kill something? Or do I want to just let them waste it? I guess I have to pass here. I was so fucked up. Alright, whatever. We knew we were taking a risk. I was ready for that sort of thing to happen like 2 or 3 turns out and at least get their life total low. Not immediately. There's the Wasteland. Just play some threat. I know you have it. Whatever the best card in your deck is. I know you drew it. Just play your Seasoned Engineer. Let's be done. Okay, they do actually have a card to cast. Yep, look at that. Best card in the deck. 100%. 100% that was going to happen. Okay, sandbagging the Bayou does at least let me kill Seasoned Engineer if they Wasteland me. But they are holding the initiative, so that might not even be good enough. In fact, it's almost certainly not. And if they just choose not to Wasteland me and play around the card that is most likely for me to have, then they can just tee off here. Right, drew Ancient Tomb. I'm at 15. And they're passing to me. Psychic Frog. Pass back. Yeah, the Moxen, like casting a spell into Void Mirror doesn't turn on Revolt because it's never in play. Revolt is specifically if a permanent left the battlefield. Casting a Mox into Void Mirror would trigger Descend, but that's a different mechanic. And my opponent is playing extremely well. They recognize that this Wasteland is a bigger liability than it is likely to actually win the game. Vexing Bauble, okay. And they're just going to attack me here without turning on the Fatal Push. Chrome Mox, they're not going to keep that. And I go to 4. Okay, what I'm trying to draw here, I guess, is a fetch land to turn on my Fatal Push. And then they draw an extra card from the archive, and then I have to like stick Psychic Frog into Time Walk to steal this back. That's not it. GG's. I'm going to go out like a boss. Pay 4 life to snuff out. It gets countered. Dead on my own terms. Yeah, that opening hand, it was powerful, but it needed a little help, and I needed my opponent to stumble a little bit. We saw their whole hand, and then we knew every card they drew for the next 3 turns, which was non-artifact White Source, Swords to Plowshares, and then immediately the best threat in their deck. You're not going to win those games. That's vintage. On to the next round. We're a few rounds into the video. If you're still here and having fun, remember to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, use code BOSH for 5% off your order at toamagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the draw in the final round, positive record on the line versus non-Lurrus. 2-mana Death Rate, Quad Force. I am going to keep this. Non-Lurrus decks tend to be ones where Force of Will is good. The exception being Bazaar, where I am almost certainly dead if I don't immediately draw a Wasteland. Well, I've mulled to 5 so far. My fingers are crossed that this is Jewel Shops looking for a playable hand. Okay, we might be in luck. Alright, Mox Ruby, Cycling Lorien revealed. Finds Snow-Covered Island. Mox Pearl. What are we doing over there? Thundertrap Trainer. Okay, so we're just like not Lurrus combo. I'm gonna force pitching Force. With 1 card left in their hand and 7 cards in mine, I don't want them to get anything going. Oh, well, that's fucked up. All right, can I get an easy one? Psychic Frog, go. If passed to me, Wasteland. Attack with Frog. Frog draws another Wasteland. I'm just going to invest my Deathrite Gem and pass. Lurrus isn't doing anything here. Deathrite applies a lot of damage to their face. Not fighting Brainstorms. I would force a stock up. I'm not forcing a Brainstorm. The reason to not be Lurrus in a deck with Thundertrap Trainer is probably Tinker. Strip Mine, what's up? And I'm going to attack with Psychic Frog. Connect, draw, Strip Mine, take out that basic. Wasteland still sitting in play. Pass with all my action up. Activate Deathrite, waste you. I'd be pretty surprised if there's a Plains or Mountain in this deck. This was probably hoping to get Meticulous Archive, or they could just get Tundra on their turn. But they are in the awkward squeeze of they do want to clear those Brainstorm cards, which means they have to fetch. Dumping 4th Aerolingus, waste you immediately. Not messing around with that. And exiling 4th Aerolingus with Deathrite here could mean that their deck might struggle to win. Exile Lingus. Opponents at 15. Ancestral Recall, what's up? The rich get richer. I will play Wasteland and target myself with Ancestral. Force, pitching, alright, that's fine. I think that having Force of Will in my hand against them being empty, I would rather, I think it's more likely that this Force in my hand will win the game than the 3 cards off Ancestral Recall. Exile your Brainstorm. I can hardcast a Force now. I'm going to discard this extra Underground Sea and just double my clock here. Jet. Alright, now I can hardcast Force and Wasteland them. This fetch land takes a turn off the clock. They're currently in a multiple of 3, but that fetch would put them to a multiple of 2. But Psychic Frog, I guess, the math is always wrong. Like, you're always on a different turn clock than you want to be. Okay, we're against a non-Lurrus version of PO. And I think my plan is going to be similar. Just keep it light, keep it easy. Though Tezzeret might be a reason to be non-Lurrus. I think I'm going to bring in Consign, knowing that. Which would probably mean Daze is the worst card left in my deck. In Daze, against a deck with full access to artifact mana, sounds bad, but we are a Collector Oof deck, which tries to pull them back into the spot where that's relevant. I still think Daze is mid. I don't want to rely on that. Okay, I've got Force blue card, a bunch of Wastelands. It's not quite a turn 1 Psychic Frog because I have my Sewer, but I'm definitely keeping. Opponent's on 6 so far. 6 cards is the keep. Probe. I hope you're scared. Scalding Tarn. I have the Strip Mine. It's cheeky Strip Mine, so even fetching a basic here won't save you. I will develop my blue mana. I think that gets the game faster to being 1. There's another Force of Will on top. I'll take it. Like, I could play chicken with them here and just put the Strip Mine into play, and then no matter what they fetch, I can strip it. But I'll give them a turn to fetch their Meticulous Archive, and then play Frog with Double Force backup and Wasteland them. Wow, they do have basic planes. That probably came in out of the sideboard. That's the thing some of these decks are doing. But I have Strip Mine. Alright, float white, change phases. That's a cool planes. Portal 3 Kingdoms. In Black Border, because it's Magic Online. We love Black Border P3K. Psychic Frog's on the stack. It didn't get Pyroblasted. I have Mental Misstep that they don't know about. They know about Force and Dispute. They don't know I have Misstep. Which means something like a Portable Hole, a Plow, a Pyroblast. Those are all things I can fend off in the most frustrating ways imaginable. I am going to Wasteland to start the turn. That limits the number of things they could do in combat. Fetching in response. So they're going to like Gush. That would be sick. Thalia! Incredible. Okay. Am I fighting over this? I don't think so. It doesn't beat Psychic Frog. I'll attack with Frog. They can't block. Draw. Yeah, Thalia is not something I had on my bingo card, but I think it's something that I can defeat. Thalia is attacking. There's nothing really to flicker out here. I guess they could flicker out my Frog if they have some tricks, like Containment Priest or consigning the trigger to bring it back. Alright, they can deny me 1 mana for my second main phase. That does work. Jets back. A stinker. Mental Misstep. And attack with Frog. I am losing the damage race, but I can change that whenever I want. I am not going to buy Lurrus. Because they know about Mystical Dispute, I don't want them to be emboldened to play more cards when the dispute's down. Okay, they flickered out my Frog, and it just came back. Sure. Deal. Spell Pierce. Attack with Frog. Abrupt Decay. Well, if I ever find green mana, that's pretty decent. and I already have 7 cards in hand, so I can't even really get Lurrus. The Felia is keeping extra counters off Frog. It's not like I can discard 1 card and have value moving forward. Like, they are going to set it back to 1-1 or 1-2. Okay, there we go. Attack with Frog. A Bounty of Riches. I'll play Misty Rainforest, 8 cards in my hand. If I Abrupt Decay now, I don't have to discard, but it does let them play a different Felia. Am I willing to force that? Oh, I can just hard cast Mystical Dispute on a follow-up Felia. Swords to Plowshares. Ain't I a stinker again? The Spell Pierce just in time. Yeah, this is the thing about playing in Psychic Frog. My opponent is 14 cards into their deck, and I'm 18. Cool. All right. Some cool brew that we won't get to see much of. Okay, positive record. The losses were a hand that maybe I'm supposed to mulligan, but I think wins if I draw a fetch land, or if my opponent fetches at any point. So that was a risky one that didn't pay out. And then the White Initiative hand, where they Vampiric Tutored every turn of the game. And I fucked up game 1. So this game was there. This league was not played flawlessly, but I definitely see the strength of the deck. Kishless Skimmer looks like kind of a joke, but once it gets going, it is certainly a draw engine. It's probably smart to only play 2 of those instead of 4. But yeah, this card is not bad. Deathrite Shaman, awesome. This is so much fun to play with that card. Collector Roof had some games that it soloed, which is the point of splashing green in the first place. And other than that, we were just a Psychic Frog Dimir Lurrus, which we all know is great. I get the appeal. I will consider this for upcoming Eternal weekends. I'm pretty wide open. I am just starting my testing. I'm recording this a few days before the ban update, and I'm not even thinking about Legacy until that ban update is through and we know what format we're playing. But Vintage, I think, is safe, and I am pretty deck agnostic in Vintage. I think there's like 5 or 6 different decks that I could do well with, and just adding this one now to the mix of things to consider. Heinz, thank you for giving me the opportunity to practice for Eternal Weekend. Max Dorshan, thanks for putting this deck in the world. I know Max didn't invent this deck, but Max put a list out that has a proven track record. Max also tweeted a sideboard guide, or Blue's guide, sideboard guide that I was referencing throughout this. And thank you all for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon to support the channel, and I'll see you next time.